All right, everyone, the autopsy results are in. Jeffrey Epstein's death, of course, officially labeled a suicide. Who fucking saw that one coming? I'm so surprised as to how they could possibly think that he killed himself. Supposedly, fractured one of the bones in front of the neck, like near the Adam's apple or something, the Ann Coulter bone. He managed to fracture that during the process. I guess it's normal for that to happen when you're hanging yourself from like 5 feet or something after screaming for hours. With the cameras off, of course, we don't have any video of this happening. We don't have any guards around to testify to his attempts. And he was just taken off suicide watch the day before. And his own lawyers don't believe the fucking story and are conducting their own separate investigation. Yeah, I'll just accept this one on faith because everyone knows how effective government is when it comes to explaining the truth. Here, it's not a suicide. I'm sorry, but the official autopsy is full of bullshit. And here's the thing. Let's say that this is some sort of high-level hit by someone with a lot of money. Wouldn't the first thing that they do be to make sure that the people, the medical workers that are involved with judging the cause of death are paid off? Wouldn't that be a lot? And that'd be cheaper than paying off the people in the prison, probably. Again, you have the inexplicable use of someone who is barely trained and somebody who wasn't even a full-on guard watching Epstein, or rather the lack of watching Epstein at the same time. The warden's already been reassigned. The number of things within this case, the number of stars that had to line up in order for Epstein to have killed himself as opposed to this being some sort of murder, or the allowance of him to strangle himself, basically beat him up, tell him we're going to make sure that you kill yourself on this day, otherwise it's going to be even worse. You'll be tortured before you die sort of situation. The number of stars that had to line up for this to be suicide. No, I don't believe that. It's Occam's razor. If I look at the situation, I can say he was fucking killed under weird circumstances, or I can say a list of coincidences that boggles the mind and would stretch out the verbose possibilities of Stephen King really happened in order for him to manage to kill himself in a situation that is so astronomically improbable that it doesn't even make any form of sense. When you get to the point where the official storyline makes less sense than a fair speculation about the possibility of foul play, I think you might have a problem. Now, this shows that the U.S. public, by and large, isn't quite as dumb as some of the politicians take them for, because I think the average person understands that this wasn't a suicide. Therefore, the autopsy report is bullshit. The person conducting the autopsy has probably been paid off, and if not, has been threatened, or is in on it in some way, maybe. We should probably look at this situation further. His legal team doesn't accept it. His legal team, the lawyers had to hire lawyers because they had just had him taken off of suicide watch the day before. That's a little bit on the mysterious side. Maybe his lawyers were involved. That's always a possibility. Something's rotten in Denmark. This sort of coincidence doesn't make any sense at all. At a bare minimum, he was allowed to kill himself by people who wanted him dead anyway. But I think it's a little bit different. Again, we have a corporate media report of him screaming in his cell for hours beforehand as reported by other people. And we're supposed to believe that that's bullshit. That claim is wrong, and everything else just sort of lines up. Oh yeah, he just tried his best. While under suicide watch, right as the cameras start to glitch, he hangs himself with his bedsheet. Well, he's not even supposed to have a bedsheet capable of being cut apart to hang himself. He's under suicide watch at the time, or he was. Oh, that's right. They just took him off. So, like, hey, Jeffrey, here's your blanket. Bye. We'll be back in 5 or 6 hours. By the way, the cameras are off. Have fun. It sounds like that might be what happened. But then apparently this, what's it called, the hyoid bone, it's more commonly broken in strangulation cases. So, I mean, he would strangle himself naturally. If you're hanging yourself in that situation, what I guess he would have done, and I'm not 100% sure there was even bunking going on in there, is tie it around the bedpost and then, like, launch forward in hopes of, like, you know, your own weight strangling you. But then again, I mean, I'm not seeing any physical way that it would be likely for him to be able to do so. And then where'd the screaming come from? Oh, it wasn't Jeffrey, it was somebody else screaming for hours beforehand. Well, the guards were off at the candy machine, I guess, or taking a nap. Very, very interesting. There will be some people, thankfully not the majority, there will be some people who actually think that this is legitimate, that it was just a suicide. It'd be really funny. No, I don't think that it was a suicide at all. I'm not making any allegations against individuals. Here's the other thing. Part of the reason why the public hasn't, conglomerated together and asking for answers more is because of the partisan freak show that immediately erupted, whereby everyone was like either Clinton was responsible or it was Trump and Barr somehow responsible. The list of people who flew on Epstein's plane is enormous. We're talking about many hundreds of very well-connected individuals regularly flying out to his island and shit like that. What I speculate, though, is that the more likely party is someone who's not on the list. Somebody who's like, if Epstein talks, those people are fucked maybe. If they did anything wrong and there's any proof whatsoever, any evidence, their careers are fucked. I'm not even on the list. Here I am doing shady shit with Epstein somewhere else, so I'm not on the flight logs. The public doesn't yet know of me. But oh shit, yeah, I went to parties on his ranch or something, so I might be culpable. Maybe he should just commit suicide and problem goes away because he's the only one who knew that I was there, maybe. Or he's the only one that would know I was there, maybe have I don't think he taped me, but he knew I was there doing shit, but nobody else maybe did, so I'll just have him off. He's got a list of hundreds of angry millionaires and billionaires stacked against him. Any one of them could have bribed a prison guard. It wouldn't have been hard to do that. Here's what you do. You bribe the warden. Warden makes sure that the people assigned are totally incompetent and tired at the time. You make sure that the cameras are off at the right time, send someone in, strangle him, and that's that. You make sure that you pay the autopsy reporter a couple $100,000, or you threaten their family maybe. Is that really a conspiracy theory? Is it really that difficult to believe that such a situation can happen? It happens all the time. People do shady, illegal shit all the time with potentially high consequences if they get caught. The thing is, in this case, it's simple risk versus reward. The risk of potentially getting prosecuted, I guess, in someone's mind, or in some group's mind, weighted as lower than the risk of allowing Epstein to continue being alive. Maybe they thought that he got beaten up the first time and he was ready to snap. He was going to talk, basically. They got wind through his cellmate or through something. They heard that he was going to talk and they said, well, this requires drastic action. But we've got friends in high places. In fact, it may have been someone in a high place who orchestrated the whole thing. And so we can make sure that it looks like an accident. Oh yeah, he just slipped and fell on the soap and he fucking hanged himself. It happens all the time. It's a real big problem in prisons with people that are connected to possibly squealing on the rich and powerful. No, Epstein was almost certainly murdered. I do not believe the autopsy report. It's bullshit. The idea that this was a suicide is ludicrous. Yes, the stars aligned in just the perfect way for every possible thing to step out of the way of Epstein killing himself. Here's the kicker, though. Here's the part that's most damning. Epstein should not have been able to tell, under any circumstances, he should not have known that there were no guards around and that the cameras were off. There's the live recording process that normally some warden somewhere would see him hanging himself on a screen and rush the cell and he wouldn't be dead. He should not have known that that was the situation because he's inside of a fucking cell. So he shouldn't have been able to know. I mean, this is a fairly secure cell. I mean, I guess he had been taken off suicide watch, but that doesn't mean that they say, okay, well, here's your noose, so to speak. He shouldn't have known that there was nobody around to watch him for hours at a time. That nobody was paying attention to the electronic screens because they were off. So if he didn't know this, either he just, I guess, either someone told him that fact, which is always a possibility, or he was killed. Oh yeah, the cell door just happened to open for 5 minutes, but it was just a glitch in the system. Hey, yeah, and he hanged himself when the door opened. Instead of walking around the hallways making weird noises and muttering to himself about the Clinton crime, he decided to off himself, inexplicably. I don't believe the story at all because the story doesn't make any sense. I don't give a fuck just because the government says or the autopsy, the coroner says. That doesn't mean jack shit to me. We don't even have a video of the situation because, again, the cameras were off at the time. How magical and coincidental that is. Doesn't happen that often. Oh, power failure, shut the camera systems down for like a couple hours. And Epstein just killed himself. Yeah, nothing to see here, folks. I'm getting tired. Go back to fucking bed and watch Worldwide Wrestling or something. That's about all. Peace out.